Hi, welcome back to meetrabbits.org. It is cleaning day in the rabbitry. I usually do this on the weekends, either a Saturday or Sunday. Like to do it on Saturday and just get it done with and over with for the weekend. This weekend I actually put it off till Sunday because we've had a lot of extreme cold this week. We had temperatures down to like -10. My brother 40 minutes north of me said he had -17, and then we had wind chills. So, you know, it's more of a challenge in the winter because we've got more of that stuff frozen in there. I know I've got a few spots where I'm going to have to kind of go in with my scraper. I keep like a 4-inch putty knife, and helps me scrape away some of the stuff that might have gotten stuck on the floors, or when I get it out to my Kubota and I dump out these trays, I scrape down the trays for that. Summer's a lot easier. Everything pops right out, and I keep a hose outside, spray every tray down before it comes back in. But that's summer, so we'll have to do a summer edition another time. And you know, this is what it looks like in the winter. Everything's just a little harder in the winter, but that's what we do if we keep animals of any type. You know, definitely not exclusive to rabbits. So cleaning day starts with feeding and watering. I've got the cage cups. Some of them have some issues with some ice buildup in them, but a quick dip in the bucket and then popping those out into another bucket takes care of that, and feeding. And then as I go around with my knife, which I set down somewhere over there, and again, just scrape up any of that, you know, manure blockage, anything like that. I do have some hay left over in these cages because earlier in the week it was really cold, and I gave everybody a slug of hay just to kind of cuddle up with, keep their feet a little warmer. I mean, you know, the rabbits did perfectly fine. They were great. You wouldn't even have known that it was freezing cold outside, well below freezing cold outside, and, you know, wind chills down to probably like -20. So they were all set, but, you know, I've got some young ones in here, and just because we have had the up and down, little slug of hay, you know, that's cheap insurance for me. So I did that, but it makes cleaning day a little harder because now I have floors with a little bit of remnant hay. So I'll scrape that out because I don't like leaving that in there if I don't need to, because one, it will just get wet and messy, and two, it will block up the wire on the bottoms, and then stuff can't fall through, and that's when we end up with corners and build up and messier rabbits that way. So I'm gonna go around, feed, water, work on getting as much of that up. I do see some issues with some freezing in the corners with some of these cages with kits in it, so I think I'm going to have to be a little creative on that. I think maybe just a little douse of warm water on there will soften it enough so I can pull those out and get them up. That almost never happens. Like I don't remember ever having a problem getting trays out. You know, we are climbing up to mid-30s, under 40 degrees today, but it's just, that's going to come late in the day. It's not going to be enough to really help me out. But again, you got to do what you got to do. So here we go. Down my putty knife. Then over to here. I already bumped up the one, bumped out the ice of this one. So feeding is fairly simple. I'm just going around the rabbitry with a bucket of water and a bucket of grain. Everybody gets filled up. Come around later, fill up these hay racks. Here's one where I've got some hay and stuff that I want to get out, and I'm just coming in and just scraping out those corners and areas. And you know, I'll just drop it on the floor or into the pan. It's mostly hay in this one, so no big deal getting it on the floor. I sweep the whole rabbitry when I'm out, when I'm done anyway. This is one we've got quite a bit of ice in. I'm just going to set the bottom in, and it's just enough to free it, and then pop that right out. That into this other bucket, and then that'll get dumped when we're outside. Of course, I could just come around with a scraper and do all this when I actually start cleaning, but it's just easy to do it now because I'm opening every cage anyway. I'll know by the end that everybody's scraped out and cleaned up, and it's ready to just pull the trays, dump them, shavings back into the cages. I have 2 different pellets that I use. I've got 18 for bread doughs and grow outs, 16 for open doughs, bucks, and the champagnes that I've been raising on the 16% all along. Got them color coded. You don't put the 16 in the red and you don't put the 18 in the black, or you're going to feed everybody exactly opposite of what you're trying to accomplish. So that's that. I'm going to go around, keep going at that, come back when I start dumping trays and getting that done. I know a lot of people have asked, they really wanted to see, and it's really simple, but I get it, like you need that visual. It's kind of hard to just hear it and know what you're talking about, how I'm doing it. You know, that's what we're here for, is to see how it's done. So I'll come back over after and show you more of that process. Machine out there, ready to start cleaning. I came across, this wasn't really a plan. This was something that my son-in-law got from work. It's just one of the, 55-gallon barrels with the wheels on the bottom. And, they had it. It was extra. He said, do you want it? I'm like, yeah, bring it. We'll find a use for it. So it became my shavings bin, which is nice because it can go all the way around the room on wheels. And then what I actually started doing is just pulling these trays, stacking them on the bin, wheeling them back, dumping them, cleaning them, bring them out, shavings, pop them back in. So, before this little gift came along, I used to just take every one of these out, walk it out to the Kubota. Not the end of the world either. I'm lucky to have the Kubota. Really make short work of things. A garden cart, a wheelbarrow, any of those would work too. And I'm just going down the line. I can stack like up to about 6, 7 of these on here, push them all the way out, empty them, and make shorter work of it. You have the tractor running outside. It's obviously cold in winter, so husband and the boys, they're working on some wood cutting today for the outdoor wood furnace. Keep me nice and toasty warm when I'm done in here. Usually a little easier to pull this just because of the height of the boards. Yep, these are my big trays of poop. What a wonderful view for you guys to see, but this is the other end of that. Now, nice and clean. Scrape it a little bit of the corner. I feel like I'm getting lucky today. Of course, this will be the one to prove me wrong, right? But most of the stuff's popping right out. I think I've hit that sweet spot of cold and frozen enough that it's just gonna dump, and not too frozen that it's sticking. It'll probably change now that I've said that. there we go, 4 of those, came out nice and clean. Take these back down, grab some other trays. Maybe I'll try and grab some of those galvanized and get a look at those too. So these are 2 of the galvanized trays. You'll see that these ones are a little bit more cumbersome, a little more flex and give on them. And that's partially because they don't have those rigid bottoms of the plastic ones, but it's also because these are the 30 by 36. So they're just, it's just the mechanics of it. So they're longer, more to them. They're also heavier because they're fuller, and some of these that I'm pulling now are cages with kits, with litters of kits. So they're fuller anyway because there's a lot more bodies living in there, eating, drinking, pooping. But you can see that even without scraping, these came mostly clean. I am gonna put it back in there and knock those off, but I wanted to show you how nice and easy and clean these come, even in some pretty cold weather. One other thing about these, and it's not for nothing, but the rabbits don't like them as much because, you know, you just heard they sound like thunder, like they're a little noisy. Really don't get any noise with the plastic ones, but and they're kind of getting used to them. But when I pull them, they don't love that sound. It is, if something's gonna make them jump, it's that. So something to consider, not for nothing. That was pretty easy, just taking them out. You know, in the summertime, everything dumps out pretty easily, and I keep a hose out there, and they all get sprayed down, and then I'll leave them upside down for a minute while I go get the next set, and that way everything drains off and everything. Winter, you know, like I said, this week we've been well below 0. We're above freezing today. That's gonna last for a day or two, but every night we're getting down into single digits, teens if we're lucky. So that's where the putty scraper comes in handy. These are actually, you know, for a $2 tool, it's really handy, makes short work of a lot of things. And then I just take this out and I scrape out in between these, you know, the ridges. So the plastic trays, I like them. I do have some of the galvanized trays too. You know, they both have their pros and cons. The galvanized are nice this time of year because they're completely flat. So all of the frozen stuff comes out a lot easier. And it's easy, if I do need to scrape, to just get this edge under one, and usually it'll all come out as a sheet. These are a little harder because of the ridges, and you're gonna get in between each one. But you can see these came out pretty clean for just dumping and scraping. The other problem with the galvanized, and my trays are from KW, so this is not like a Tractor Supply or Pet Lodge quality issue. They just get banged up more, and I already do, and I have not had these trays for very long. I noticed on the other day on a tray that I've had for a month, maybe 2, the rivet is a little bit loose on there. So I don't think those metal trays are gonna be my favorite, but they are going to have to stay with some of these cages, like the Pet Lodge, because those rails are too narrow to fit the black Tractor Supply trays in. But I do know that some of those companies also have a plastic version, so that might be something worth looking into. Not now, but in the future when those trays need replacing, I'll probably look into that and see if there's a happy medium there that I can go with. I had considered switching over some of these Tractor Supply trays to the galvanized if it turned out that I like the galvanized, and as of right now I don't like the galvanized enough to want to do that. I'm just not gaining enough. These are also cheap, or the cheapest, and they do last a long time. You know, I do occasionally break one, crack one, and have to replace it, but that's usually, I don't know, you know, these 24-inch trays, I hardly replace any of these. It's usually on one of the bigger ones, like the 36 or 30s, and that I think is just because they're heavier. They're taking a little more weight when they're being cleaned, and you know, some of that is me knocking them out when it's cold. Nothing's going to be perfect. They've all got their ups and downs, but so that's my opinion on those. To finish these off, I'll just give a scoop of shavings in the bottom just to coat it. You know, I know a lot of people don't even do this, and that's fine. I like it because when you pull these out and come back to clean next week, not this time of year because they're cold and frozen, but most of the time, including most of the winter, all that urine is liquid and they get really sloppy if you don't have something in there to soak it up. So it doesn't take a ton of the shavings, you know, it's no more than a scoop in each of these trays. In the bigger trays with the kits, maybe a scoop and a half. It's not much. I don't mind it either because afterwards this waste is going out. Most of it goes onto my elderberry field. So it's just, I'm continuously mulching with it. When I need something in the garden, some of it will go down to the garden too. But, you know, it makes a good fertilizer, a good mulch, a good top dressing. And I don't get all slopped on when I change that. In the summer, it helps to control the flies as well, because you just have less sloppy mess. You know, not going to control them completely, but it's one tool in the arsenal. So that's it. These slide right in, like socks, slide in, slide out, easy peasy. I'll go around, do the rest of the room. If there's more to say, I'll come back on and we'll talk about that. Anybody have any questions about any of it, my process, or how much I do or don't like something, leave them in the comments. You know, people do different things. Some people do hanging cages, or we'll do a stacked system sort of with a slope, like a metal, or like some are metal roofing, some are plastic, and they'll slope it down and they'll clean out with shovels. I'm just not a big fan of shoveling. This allows me to stack all the cages and everybody still stays clean, and I can really maximize my space this way with the stackable cages. So it's a system that I like and is really working out for me. So that's it. Trays are cleaned. Everybody's got new bedding in there. Trays are all back in. You know, as far as time, that took about a half an hour, and that was 20 cages. Got to build in the fact that I was videoing too, so that actually extends my cleaning time a little bit. But you know, half an hour for 20 cages. When these cages are all full, might take up to an hour. You know, it's no big shakes. It's, you know, you got to enjoy it too, even the work of it, if you want to keep animals. You know, not every task is glamorous, but I don't know, I enjoy it. Come out, usually I've got an audiobook going or some music going, and you know, just spend some time in here, get them clean. Really feels nice when it's all nice and clean at the end of the day. And now, you know, after that, I'm just sweeping the whole thing out. The whole floor is going to get a sweep, back to front. It's mostly hay and shaving, so I just sweep it out the door, goes off the side, blows around the back lawn, helps feed the back lawn. And then after that, I'll take out that load of manure that's in the Kubota. Like I said, it gets a use. it always goes right onto something for the most part. I don't usually compost it. You could, which would help keep some of the grass seed down. You know, if you hot compost it so that seed died off. But the rabbit manure itself is not a hot manure, so that can go straight on the garden, straight on those elderberry rows, and it works a treat. So, you know, everything gets used this time of year. I actually have some holes in the rows, like the roadway rows of my elderberry field that needed some filling in. So these days, I'm just taking it out, dumping the whole thing into some of those holes where like we had some settling and rocks and a little bit of a sinkhole. And over the winter, it'll break down. Really every week it's somewhere different. You know, a couple weeks ago it was my garlic bed. Got some good winter mulch onto those. In the summer, a lot of times I'm using it as a top mulch right on the strawberry rows. Any of the rows, flowers, strawberries, vegetables, any of it. Had a little bit of a question there about how you use that with urine in it, which I'm actually going to address in another video, so come on back to that. But that's it. That's the process. Everything's nice and clean. Everybody's comfy. There's no odor in here to speak of. You know, good air quality. In the summertime, this system really helps to keep the flies down because everything's getting out of here at least once a week. If it's really hot and humid and the flies are bad, I'll even jump in and do it in the middle of the week. I don't usually have to do that, but that is one thing that I do too. You can see, you might be able to see, there's actually some pelletized lime on the floor too. That's helping. You know, it's not really that necessary this time of year because it's cold, it's winter, but it is helping when we've had those crazy fluctuations in temperature. So some of those days when it's gotten up to almost 60 degrees and then everything kind of softens up and starts to smell and it gets humid, that keeps all that down. And in the summer, again, it's same thing, helping to keep any urine or anything that does get on the floor soaked up, but also helping to keep the flies away. So I hope this answers your questions about, you know, my cleaning process and how that goes. Hope it gives you a little bit more of a picture of that. I'm gonna sign off for now. I've got more work to do here in the rabbit room, finish sweeping this out. And then I actually am going to wean off those 2 litters that I have in with the Californian. So those are the Californian Champagne crosses, and they're going to go into some transition grow out cages today. They'll get further separated down the line. These guys, I'm gonna give them another week, maybe 2 in here, and I might split them up further, although they're only 4 and 2 in these 5-foot cages, so they may just stay there until the end. Probably not. They'll probably come in and get broken down into singles mostly because I've got those others coming behind them that I'm going to need room for, and that's just a better management. You know, you might be wondering why do that at all? Why not just take them right to singles? And sometimes I do, but it's just that it cuts down on my cleaning day. You know, instead of I've just 2 trays in here to clean instead of 4. 2 trays in here. Well, this one honestly, because it's only 2, it doesn't make that big of a difference, but that's only because I split them by sex, and there were only 2 does in that litter. The other 4 were bucks, so that's just how it goes sometimes. But that's it. Questions, comments? Leave them in the comment section. I'll try and address them. Thanks for being here. Come on over to meetrabbits.org, see what else we've got over there in the articles and pictures. And also I've started to add some things to the community page with some links to some of like the charts and things like that. So hop on over there and check those out if you've been looking for links for any of that. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time.